Everything that exists began as a thought. The city skyline, the art on your wall, the words you're hearing now, each started as nothing, just electricity inside someone's mind, and yet, somehow, it became real. We like to believe that reality is external, something solid, physical, out there, but what if it's not? What if the world you see isn't the world itself, but a projection of what you think it is? Every thought you think isn't just an idea, it's a signal, an instruction your brain translates into emotion, behavior, and perception. You think, and your body listens. You imagine, and your nervous system responds. That is the hidden mechanism of the mind, the quiet process by which imagination becomes existence. Every thought carries energy, a pattern of electrical and chemical activity. When you think of danger, your brain releases cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart races, your muscles tense, your vision narrows, but there is no threat. You only imagined it, and yet your body reacted as if it were happening right now. That's the first secret of the hidden mechanism. The brain cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. It believes what you repeatedly tell it. Soft whisper, I'm not good enough, although they fail, they did, they'll leave. Every time you repeat a thought, you strengthen the neural pathway beneath it. That's neuroplasticity, the mind reshaping itself according to what it experiences most. So, when you constantly think fear, your brain builds a world where fear makes sense. When you think hope, it builds a world where hope finds evidence. You don't see life as it is, you see life as your brain expects it to be. The sound deepens. A low, cinematic hum, like the earth itself breathing. Narrator, psychologists call this confirmation bias. Once your mind adopts a belief, it begins searching for proof to support it. Think you're unlucky, you'll notice every failure. Think you're unloved, you'll interpret silence as rejection. Think you're capable, you'll see opportunities others miss. Your thoughts sculpt the lens through which reality is filtered. And soon, you don't realize you're not observing the world, you're creating it. Your perception becomes your evidence becomes your truth becomes your life. That's not philosophy, that's psychology. Soft echo. What you focus on grows. Narrator. But there's another layer. Deeper than thought, beneath words. It's the subconscious, the silent architect behind every action you take. Your subconscious mind records everything. Every fear, every dream, every unresolved emotion. And it doesn't speak in logic, it speaks in symbols, emotion, and repetition. When you think the same thought long enough, it sinks from consciousness into programming. It becomes you, your habits, your reactions, your self-image, all built from thought repeated into belief. That's why you can't just think positive, because if your subconscious doesn't believe it, your reality won't reflect it. You have to feel it. To think it with conviction until your nervous system accepts it as truth. That's how thought transforms into biology. Visual, waves of thought turning into heartbeat rhythms, muscle movement, action. Narrator. Neuroscientists have found that mental rehearsal activates the same brain regions as real experience. When you imagine success vividly, your brain fires as if you've already succeeded. It begins preparing your body to act in alignment with that image. That's not magic, that's predictive processing. Your brain is a prediction machine. It constantly uses past data and imagined outcomes to shape what you feel and do next. So if your mind keeps replaying failure, your brain prepares you to fail. If you replay courage, your brain prepares you to act brave. Your thoughts become self-fulfilling prophecies, not because the universe bends to your will, but because you do. Soft swell of strings, the voice turns introspective. Narrator. But here's the question that changes everything. If your thoughts create your world, who creates your thoughts? Most people never ask that. They live inside their mental stories as if those stories were written by fate. But they're not. They're written by repetition, by influence, by experience. You think your thoughts are original, but many of them aren't yours at all. They were handed to you, by parents, culture, trauma, fear, and you've been replaying them ever since, believing they define you. Soft whisper. I can't. I shouldn't. I'm not ready. But the truth is, the voice in your head is just an echo. It can be rewritten. That's what awareness is for. Narrator. When you observe a thought without believing it, you interrupt the mechanism, you take back authorship, you begin to realize, I am not my thoughts, I am the one who thinks them. And in that realization, you find freedom. Freedom to choose different patterns. Freedom to visualize a different outcome. Freedom to imagine something better and believe it enough to make it real. Visual, storm clouds part, revealing a sky of light. That's not delusion. That's creation. The same psychological process that builds anxiety can build confidence. The same mechanism that creates fear can create peace. The mind doesn't care what story it repeats. It only knows how to repeat. Music rises. Steady and powerful. Narrator. You are sculpting your future with every thought you nurture today. When you dwell on pain, you build neural networks for suffering. When you practice gratitude, you rewire your brain for fulfillment. When you imagine yourself as powerless, you act accordingly. When you imagine yourself capable, you notice paths you once ignored. Your thoughts don't instantly create reality. They train your perception to notice the version of reality that matches what you believe. And the more you believe, the more real it becomes. Soft silence. The voice slows, almost a whisper. Narrator. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, stop and ask, what world am I building right now? Because every thought is a seed, and the mind is always listening. You can plant doubt and watch it grow into hesitation, or you can plant clarity and watch it bloom into action. The mechanism is the same. Only the direction changes. Piano softens to a final note. The hidden truth is simple. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe. And belief is just a thought that you've practiced enough times to call it truth. Screen fades to black. A heartbeat echoes once. Narrator, whisper. Change your thoughts, and you'll change your world. Logo fades in. Mind scripted. Whispered tagline. Your mind writes reality. There are a lot of people who are offended by the idea that we create our reality. They see it as a version of blaming the victim. Nobody asks for bad things to happen to them. I couldn't agree more. But as someone who has been helping people change their thinking and behavior using cognitive therapy for over 15 years, I can also say that I couldn't agree more with the idea that we do indeed create much of our reality. Denying this denies your power. What I explain to my patients is that there are 3 buckets in life: things we control, things we influence, and things over which we have no control. What is not under our control are the many random events of life, the families we were born into, earthquakes, pandemics, illness, job layoffs, the death of loved ones, fires, and car accidents, to name a few. These are circumstances that we experience and events that we are aware of. We influence other living things with our actions. If you walk into a room, see a stranger sitting there, and decide to slap them in the face, that person will surely respond differently than if you had instead smiled. But you don't determine how that person responds. That person could decide to run away, turn the other cheek, or slap you back. What we control, and where we really start to create our reality, is in how we perceive, interpret, think about the events in our life that generate our feelings about those events, and how we subsequently respond with our behavior. No one can choose your thoughts or actions. Those are yours alone. If your significant other breaks up with you and your thought is, I will never find anyone else to love me again, then you will likely experience some very negative emotions like depression, and you are likely to engage in behaviors consistent with these feelings, such as staying in bed. If, on the other hand, your thought is, I'm glad this loser is out of my life, then you are likely to feel and act quite differently. You choose which thought to think. Now here is where the creating part gets really serious. Your thoughts, if you think them over and over and assign truth to them, become beliefs. Beliefs create a cognitive lens through which you interpret the events of your world, and this lens serves as a selective filter through which you sift the environment for evidence that matches up with what you believe to be true.